Hey everybody, I am back with our guest. Her name is Izabela Vidovic, and she is known for her roles in Homefront, Wonder, iZombie, and Fosters, which is a pretty cool resume. And now she's going to be Sunny in the new movie called Accursed. And we're going to be talking to her about that. We're going to learn about her history, how she got into acting, and so much more. Welcome, Izabela. How you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm great. How are you? I've got my Christmas tree up.
Love it. I absolutely
Yeah,
love it. That just made the whole video. I
I
mean,
think so too. I think so too. Otherwise, the backgrounds get a little boring. I was like, might as
yeah.
well, festive it up.
So first of all, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. I did. I was just at home with my family, which was nice because I didn't get to be home with my family last year because I was working out of the country. So it was actually really nice to just do something very low key. Yes. Yes.
I love to be able to learn about our guests because, we all have a dream. We all try to follow that dream. And some of us have trouble getting to it, some of us don't. And the people that are able to get to that dream, I want to hear their stories because I think you can inspire everybody else. So tell me a little bit about yourself. When did you get into acting and what made it so special for you?
I well, so my mom is a filmmaker. She started out in acting and then sort of shifted behind the camera. And growing up, I was around that, but I didn't seek acting. I It's always interesting talking about it because I didn't seek it out. I was very precocious as a kid and I loved singing. And we were at a party like for Easter, and a lot of industry friends were there because my mom's in the industry. And so I got up and I ended up performing as I did when I was 7, and I kind of lost some of that lack of inhibition, but I was just performing mindlessly. And somebody who became a really dear friend to us saw me and suggested that I audition for an agent. And my mom was a little weary because she didn't know about putting me in acting as a kid. But I auditioned and ended up completely falling in love with it. So it was sort of a fluke, but a very lucky one.
Now, you've actually been on a live stage doing like theater, and you've also done movies and television and everything else. There is a big difference. But which one do you like more? And which one was harder for you to do?
So I started off doing theater productions through school, like in elementary school, a little bit like through middle school, but it was all um, really small roles. It was, at summer camps with friends. It wasn't professional. And so I think that my experience in film and TV is a little broader. And I would really love to explore theater more because I love the material that it offers. And I also do love singing. So, there's musicals and different types of opportunities.
Is it more daunting to do because literally you have one shot to get it right because you're in front of a live audience? And, that to me would be a lot more intimidating.
It is intimidating, I think, because I've done theater classes and all of that. So it's very different than film and TV, but I kind of love it because I think there's something about what it does to you when you know that you only have one shot to get something right. You've got this adrenaline, and I feel like you just put your all into it, and it's a different type of performance that comes out of you, if that makes sense.
Yes. Do you ever have stage fright? I mean, with singing or just acting, being on stage or anything like that? Do you ever have stage fright?
Yeah, always.
How do you
I have
get over
stage
it?
fright right now.
Well, how do you get over it?
I don't.
You don't, you just do it?
Yeah, I just do it. I've told this story like thousands of times, but it's my favorite because I always tell everybody that my mom, when I was little, she told me that if you've got those butterflies in your stomach, that it's a good thing because they will fly you into the performance. And so I always took that to heart, and I was like, okay, then don't get rid of them. Just utilize them.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
See, I'm horribly, the funny thing is like in front of like 8 people, I can't do it.
Right.
But I got thrown into a wrestling ring to be an announcer one time in front of like hundreds of people I've never done before.
Yeah.
Never did that announcing at all, but I did it, and it was daunting. But I got up there and it was fine, and I rocked it. And I got off, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
That's not so
Sometimes
bad.
there's something about like a larger crowd that's less intimidating than like an intimate group setting, I think.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like how you auditioned for your first role. What went through your head? Was it tough? I mean, how many no's have you heard in your lifetime and how many yeses?
I think that as an actor or like I guess as an artist in general, you hear no's way more than you hear yes. Otherwise, you'd just be swimming in jobs and opportunities, you know. So yeah, definitely, you have to develop a thick skin to be able to be in this industry, I think, because if you take all the no's to heart, I think it can really kill your spirit. But I don't know that I even remember my first audition. I think, like I said earlier, as a kid, I was always very uninhibited because I was lucky to have parents that didn't tell me no, that didn't tell me I couldn't do anything. So I didn't feel like I had a reason to go in a room and not think highly of myself. And then I think all the walls and all the inhibition built up over the years as I grew older and was exposed to the real world and realized that, you know, things didn't work as perfectly as I thought they did.
I've heard from many actors and musicians too that after you're done with, like, let's just say Accursed, okay, you look back. Do you sit there and judge yourself on how well you did? Do you use it as a learning process? Like, maybe I could have done this better, maybe I should have done this differently, or do you just take it as this is the best I did for this and move on? Some people don't like to go back.
Yeah, I understand that. I think watching yourself, I mean, you're in the world of a medium where you're also watching yourself, and it's weird, right? Like there's something about it. It's just, I feel like it's natural to criticize yourself. It's natural to pick yourself apart and think that you could have done better. So I always watch what I'm in once. Usually, if I can avoid watching it more, I will. But sometimes friends are like, let's do a movie night. But yeah, I don't know. I think I've tried to get better at not criticizing myself, but it's a little inevitable. And as long as, I don't know, as long as you know that there's always room for improvement and that's okay, and that you did the best that you could in the job that's out and, you know, out into the world. And I think that's what's allowed me to move on from every project somewhat satisfied.
Now, after everything that you've done and stuff, you've done different types of television, you've done movies and stuff. What is the most difficult part for you as an actress to do the job?
I think the most difficult part is the auditioning process.
Really?
Yeah, because, well, you know, think about it. Because when you're auditioning, you have to completely create everything from scratch. You don't have your scene partners available to you. You're not in the location or in the wardrobe that you're going to be in. So you have to create your character from scratch. You have to paint to the casting director a picture of you being, you know, in that setting. Whereas when you're on set, you've got great actors that you're working with, you've got your director, you've got whatever setting and wardrobe and all that. So you just get to kind of settle into it. But I think with auditioning, it's almost like sometimes it's the bulk of the work because you have to create the character without even having the job.
So I like to ask everybody this, and it's especially actors and actresses, is did you ever play, growing up, I'm sure, like even now, there's a role you'd love to be, whether it be a superhero or something. What would that be and why?
That's a great question. I just never know how to answer it because I feel like with the roles that I've done so far, I never knew what role I wanted until I got roles that I really fell in love with. And I was like, oh, I didn't know I've been looking to do this my my whole life. Like I got to play Supergirl on the Supergirl show. I got to play a younger version of Melissa Benoist, and I never really had a specific desire to play a superhero until I booked a role where I got to fly. And I was like, this is all I want to do for the rest of my career. Yeah.
So what superpower would you choose if you could make yourself a superhero?
I would love to be able to teleport anywhere, anytime.
Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be cool. I mean,
So cool.
imagine like just being able to choose to go into like the 19. I would be a little scared of that power though, because I wouldn't want to mess up things that are supposed to happen or that should have happened. And yeah.
Yeah, I get that. But you could be like, bam, just wake up and go to wherever you need to go and
True.
no traffic. I mean, how cool is that?
So cool.
So let's talk about your role as Sunny in the Accursed. Tell me a little bit about, first of all, what is the plot of Accursed without giving away too much?
Yeah, I will. So the Accursed is about, in a nutshell, it's about a woman who spends 20 years suppressing this evil curse that was placed upon her family, only to have it released by a family member 20 years later. And so it threatens to kill the entire bloodline off. So it's, it's got a lot of weight to it, that curse. So my character, Sunny, she gets married to this woman, Hannah, her son. And it's the first time that they're letting people onto the property in 20 years, which poses a risk. And my character is an outsider. So her coming in is already, she's unfamiliar. There's a sense of worry with my character being brought into the family, and my character sort of proves that there is a reason to worry about her because she seems to not be all that she said she was.
You get to play a little darkness in there too. That's pretty cool.
It was kind of fun. It was kind of, yeah, it's fun. I can't really say tons about, I could say just about that because otherwise it would give away the big twist at the end.
So when you got casted as a role in Sunny and you kind of learned a little bit about your character, what are some of the things you like about Sunny? What are some of the things you don't like about Sunny?
I think that my favorite thing about the character is that let me word this without giving it away. I think my favorite thing about the character is that she deals with the concept of love and the fact that you can go into a relationship, you can go into whatever plans you have in life thinking that it could be under your control, but once love comes into play, all bets are off and everything completely falls out of your control. And I think that's what happens to my character, is that she goes in with one plan and then love gets in the way of that, and it completely ruins this perfect idea that she had in mind. And I think that's my favorite part, is that, while love can be a beautiful thing, it also, it makes us really faulty and it brings out all of our vulnerabilities.
Yeah, we tend to do stupid stuff for people when we're in love with somebody, for sure.
We do.
Was there anything about your character you just didn't like a characteristic or anything like that?
I kind of tend to fall in love with the characters that I play, no matter how faulty they are. However, I think what I disliked about her was maybe just the fact that she was a little naive. She came in to the situation with certain premonitions that were kind of silly, in my opinion, but I had to advocate for those playing her, so that's what I mean. When you play a character, you really have to justify all of their actions and you have to be their advocate. So you kind of inevitably end up falling in love with them because you give cause to everything they're doing.
Now, how close are you to Sunny in real life? Is she similar to you? Is there some things that are completely different? And was it hard to play the character? Did you have to do a lot of learning?
I would say that we're similar in ways, for sure, meaning like, doing silly things for love. But there's also, I think we're similar in the sense that you find out that family is very important to Sunny. And a lot of what she does is motivated by love and by family. And that is something that rings very true for me as Izabela. But on the other hand, I think that, some of that naive quality that she has and coming in and making certain mistakes. I don't know that I would make those because I don't know that I would enter the situation that she did ever. I don't know that if I would ever put myself in that position.
See, when you say stuff like that, that's exactly where I find myself in. I'm
Right.
terrible about it.
You're like, I put myself in horrible situations all the time.
Yeah, I do. I mean, if there was like, ever a spot where it's like the wrong place at the wrong time, you'll find me.
Yep. No, truly. I think I find myself in that position way more than I'd like to admit.
Yeah. Yeah, I try not to admit it myself, but I guess now the world knows.
Now we're here.
So where was the actual movie filmed?
It was filmed in Los Angeles,
Really?
which is interesting because it does not look like it was filmed in Los Angeles.
I love when they do that. I mean, it's just so amazing how you can find a little spot and it looks like it's completely different from where you live. It's so
truly,
cool.
it's like a little oasis that we found in LA. It was in Frogtown, Los Angeles. If you're in LA, you would know where that is, but it's kind of like this little hidden part of LA. And it was at this house that was sort of an all-in-one. It had a huge outdoor property, which is what we needed. And then it had this really beautiful house that had all this character, and that's also what we needed. So we got really lucky. But when you watch the film, and a lot of people that have seen it, they're like, oh my God, it looks like you had all these locations. It looks like you had this giant forest accessible to you. And I'm like, that's the power of indie filmmaking.
I'd love to learn how it became the name Frogville.
Oh yeah, Frogtown.
Frogtown, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue. I do not know of the history of Frogtown. a little part of it. I actually didn't even know that was the name of that part of LA until that was our address.
I want to go to Frogtown now.
You should.
I really want to go to
Frogtown. Go for it.
So when you started the movie, you saw the script, you saw what you were going to be doing, and now that it's over, are you satisfied with how it came out? And I mean, I'm sure you are, but did it come out the way that it was originally written? Because sometimes it changes and morphs along the way as some things just pop up and make it better.
Yeah, I am very proud of the way that it came out. I'm a producer on the project as well, so I was involved from the get-go since 2017, which is when we started raising funds. We raised some funds on Indiegogo, and then we got the rest of the funds, filmed it in 2019, and now in 2021 it's out. So it's been quite a journey. But as far as the script goes, the co-directors and writers, Elizabeta and Catherine, it went through a lot of drafts, lots of drafts. Even before 2017, it was shelved, and then they brought it back because the film deals with lore. It deals with a different culture altogether. So it started off as one thing, and then they decided to make it just a completely ambiguous culture rather than name it something specific, which I liked, because then you have more freedom to do what you want with it. So, I guess that's a roundabout way of saying that it did undergo a lot of revisions before it ended up in my lap for me to play Sunny, because I was attached to 2 different roles. We just kept switching around and playing musical chairs.
Tell me about the cast. I mean, who are some of the people that are in the movie, and how was your relationship with them, and how did that make the movie even better? Because I know if you have a good relationship with people on set, it's going to be so much easier and so much better.
Absolutely. The cast, I think, especially on a smaller production where you're working with a smaller crew and you have less days to film, you want to make sure that all the people you are working with are really great. And we lucked out with that. Our cast, it's a big ensemble cast. So we have Yancy Butler and Goran Vishnich, Melora Walters. We had some really great veterans from the industry that I was excited to work with. And one of my close friends, actually, Mayada Walsh, plays the character of Zada. And I've known her since 2012 or 2013, we did a project together, and then we called her up a few years ago and we were like, hey, would you be interested in being attached, to this project? Like, we're still raising funds for it, but we'd love for you to be involved. And she was like, absolutely. So it's like that, and that happened with some of our crew too, like people that we had worked with in the past. And we were like, hey, we're actually doing a feature this time. Like, do you want to come on board? And I think that's the exciting part about putting a team together of people that you know, and then people that you don't know that can become longtime friends. That's always my favorite part. I love working with people that I know and that I adore, because it makes the process that much more fun.
So who was the troublemaker on set that liked to do all the pranks, and who was the one that would set everybody straight?
Uh, I think that George Xanthus and he plays my husband in the film. He plays Bethad. And I think that we were the kind of the jokesters because we became really good friends before we got on set, just to get to know each other, if you're gonna play husband and wife. So to get to know each other, we became really good friends, developed some inside jokes. And when we got on set, a lot of our scenes were lighter compared to the rest of the scenes that we had with other cast members. And we had a hard time keeping it together. I think everybody else was a little more professional. George was professional. I'm going to say it was me. I'm not going to sit here and like broadcast that George was not. It was me. He's just a funny guy. But overall, though, I mean, everybody was great, and you want to have that. Like, you want to have that loose candor with your actors. Otherwise, it's stiff and boring.
So it's got to feel so good to see it go from a crowdfunding thing to an actual movie. And I mean, that's got to feel accomplished.
It does. It really does, especially because so many of our fans have stuck through with us since 2017. So now they're like, oh my God, like the movie that I contributed to and that you sent me like a little perk for, like it's out, it's available. And it's such a gratifying feeling to have people stick with you through that process and then have new people come on board along the way.
So what do you hope people take away from the movie when they're done? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a moral or value. It could just be something fun. So what do you hope that they get from it?
I just hope people have fun watching it. It's really a mystery. It takes a lot of focus. You've got to put a puzzle together. And I love those kinds of films. So if you're into like a high concept kind of horror, I just hope you have fun with it. And I hope that you get spooked and that by the end you're surprised, because I was surprised when I read the script.
And that's how we'll leave it for everybody to sit there and wonder about. So how can people obviously find it? That's the most important part. Where can they buy it on DVD? Can they rent it? Can they stream it? How do people find it?
So The Accursed is available on VOD. It's available on iTunes, Amazon, YouTube Movies, Vudu, Google Play, all your platforms. So it's available for rental and for purchase. And the production company's handles on social media is just Almost Normal Productions. So we have like all kinds of updates about the film and where it's available on there.
Very good. And it is out now though, right? So people can start looking?
Yes, it is out.
Okay, perfect. And of course, how can people follow you? Do you have a website? Do you have social media you'd like to share so people can see what's going on in your exciting world?
Oh, you're making it sound so exciting. I am Izabela Vidovic on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. And I actually usually just refer the company's website, almostnormalproductions.com, because it's what I'm working on as a producer. And I find that kind of exciting. So that's also where you can see all the platforms that the film's on.
I love that name, Almost Normal, because that's what I consider myself. I'm almost normal, not exactly normal, but
quite there, but
it's a little
that's where
spiced. I'm at. Well, Izabela, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a wonderful time. I'm glad you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I hope that you have a great holiday season coming up. And of course, I can't wait to see this movie, and I hope everybody else will too.
Thank you so much. It was great meeting you.
Anytime. And guys, we got to take a 2-minute break, pay bills. I'll be back in 2. Don't go anywhere.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.